Hi, guys. Welcome back to another episode of the Purposeful Wisdom Podcast. My name is Dawn Christine. I am so honored to be your host. Today, I have a very, very special guest. You guys know I bring you the best of the best here on this platform. I give you all the tools in your toolbox to heal, grow, learn. I have with me today the founder of Zant, Miss Maggie Rose Macar. Maggie is the CEO and founder of Zant, an app that provides accessible and affordable mental health services and acts as an all-in-one practice management tool for mental health providers. Maggie's journey started after she was coping with the death of a close friend to suicide at a young age, which inspired her to shift her studies to psychology and began sculpting her passion for suicide prevention in the form of mental health awareness and education. Through the changes in societal norms and the increased need for low-cost, easy, accessible mental health services, Maggie Rose began working with lead developers to create an app in the midst of a global pandemic, y'all, that offers access to over 25 different specialty services to users across the nation. In addition to beginning this endeavor, she continued her studies through a certificate from Wharton Business School in entrepreneurship. She remains determined to impact the lives of those struggling and inspire the lives of those in need. And through this venture, Zant was born. Hi, Maggie. Oh my gosh, thank you so much for being here.
Dawn, thank you so much for such a wonderful intro. And thank you so
It's
much
my
for
pleasure.
having me today. I'm so excited.
Absolutely. I have been looking forward to this conversation for such a long time. And for those of my listeners that don't know, I am part of Zant. It is a big passion of mine to bring affordable healthcare to all people. And, Maggie, I wanted to start off by just sharing some statistics before we dive in and let viewers know about Zant, about, how you did this. 42% of adults in this world, in this country rather, can't afford mental health care services.
Yes.
43.8 million people experience some sort of mental illness in any given year in the United States. And 60% of people who suffer from depression alone don't seek professional support because one, of the stigma, there's a stigma behind it, and two, because they can't afford it. And what I love is that Zant is giving people the opportunity to actually afford mental health services. So please, I want to start out with your journey, obviously, for first and foremost, to let our viewers know why you created this app. And then we'll definitely dive into this beautiful, beautiful platform for people. So tell me how this all started. Tell me about your journey.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I could go on and on about additional statistics to throw in there, but just two that immediately came to my mind is that 73% of people who are searching for support don't believe that it's accessible today. And you also look at the demographic between the ages of 18 to 24 and also even 10 to 18. Those combined, the second leading cause of death between those ages of 10 to 24 is suicide. So you're looking at young people who are struggling more than ever before. You're looking at people who are searching for support but feel like they just can't get access to affordable care. And I'll, go on and on a little bit about those pain points that we help solve. But, those are really two of the biggest statistics that we focus on when it comes to supporting individuals of all ages, and especially between the ages for us of 18 to 24. So, my story really starts about 7 years ago. I lost a very, very close friend of mine to suicide. And when that happened, he was 18 years old. It was actually a few weeks before his birthday, and he was 18 years old. I spoke to him 3 days beforehand. He was somebody who talked about the future, who had dreams and aspirations, who was just one of the kindest people to be around, and somebody who supported me a lot and was always there for me. And really was a very close friend of mine. I was a young person at the time, also 18, and I was working on the Upper West Side, nothing fancy. I was a server. And I was just making those ends meet. I was completely financially independent by the time I was 18 years old, which meant that I had to now pay for everything. Very different situation than my colleagues, my friends. I had to find an apartment. I was paying for my own apartment. I had to find a car. I was paying for my own car. That type of stress in a young person's life already at that young age, while you're just trying to go through the motions of getting into a college and taking those next steps in your career, they're very heavy and they're very time consuming. And so as a young person, I already had so much that I was doing in my life. And so many of those, I don't want to say later life stresses, but more older adult, stressors that you have. And commuting back to New Jersey to go to a community college. I wanted to go to Rutgers. I wanted to go to a larger school, but I didn't have the funds to do so. And I only got a partial scholarship. So it still wasn't affordable for me. So I was going to a community college. I thought I wanted to be a prosecutor. I was studying criminal justice and I was commuting into New York City about 3, 4 times a week. And I was working as a server. And yes, that was actually enough funds for me to be able to go to school and, work and so forth and pay my bills and grow independently. But when I ended up getting that phone call that my friend had passed away, it was so shocking for me as a young person. It was the first time in my life that I was experiencing that type of grief. It was the first time in my life that I had experienced such a close and tragic loss. So for me as a young person, it was incredibly difficult to cope and really understand the reality behind what had happened. I was in denial for quite some time. I couldn't believe that this had happened. And it got to a point where I started to lose myself. I didn't identify myself as that ambitious young person who had graduated high school a year early against all odds against her, who had been able to start that journey of being financially independent at such a young age while going to school, while going to work, while focusing on her own goals. And I was not that person anymore. I was a person who could barely get out of bed and do anything. I was a person who was struggling tragically just to cope. I was struggling to build relationships with individuals because I was so overwhelmed with that type of grief. And so I went to Google. I mean, I did not feel comfortable at the time going to my family or my friends. This was before COVID. This was when we had to drive everywhere. This was when we
Right.
had to go online and contact people and see if there was space for us to see that person. This was when so many individuals had to take a longer and more difficult road to getting that support. And even with school programs, the program that I had an opportunity to join had a 6-month waiting period and only 3 sessions that would be for free, followed by having to move out of the program and finding my own support anyways. So being able to have continuous support would not have existed for me if I was able to stick it out and join that program 6 months later. So I immediately went to Google, contacted maybe 50 or 60 different people. And as cliche as it is, I had one provider who said, Maggie, listen, if you can get here, I'll see you for a free consultation and I'll see if I can even help you. But you have to get here. It was about 45 minutes for me at the time. So I was able to make arrangements to go and I got there. I cried my eyes out. I felt this sense of relief for the first time. I'd been holding all of this back. There was so much stigma during that time too. And really depending on where you are in this country, there's still a lot of stigma surrounding mental illness, mental health. However, at the time, it was very much a consistent, if you go see somebody, you're crazy. Something's wrong with you. The truth was something was wrong with me. I was not okay. And after that session, he actually said to me, Maggie, listen, I know that you cannot afford my rate. It's $150 a session. However, I believe that I can help you and I'm willing to invest in you and bet on you and take a chance on you. If you commit to this work, you show up every week, it'll be $10 a session. That just changed my life. Yeah, it really did. All of a sudden, I started committing to the work and it was not easy. It wasn't,
Oh,
yay, I have this opportunity.
right.
Now I can go every week for $10 a session. I had to work around school. I had to work around work, which I already was not attending regularly at this point because I was struggling so much with what I can now identify as depression. So at the time, I was playing catch up on all fronts with my own life, with coping with my friend, with going to school, with paying for my own bills. So I was struggling tremendously and going through that journey was a lot to commit to. However, I did make it happen, and I did go through that journey with him. My pain started turning into passion. I started understanding more of my own journey. I started to realize that being now that I had this passion from this pain, and now that I had this sense of urgency, I needed to do something about it. So I started applying to scholarships. I started applying to different schools, and I got a full ride opportunity over at Pillar College in New Jersey. Yes,
Wow.
it felt like a
Oh,
miracle, really. And at that point, I started studying psychology, minor in business, and I realized that there were so many young people around me who were struggling, who could not wait for me as one individual to become a licensed therapist and then go back years later and help them. And so I had this need to figure out a solution. And the therapist I was working with said, Maggie, you can't keep referring young people to me because I cannot work with everybody at $10 a session. And it was hard to hear that, because I was like, okay, here's the first solution, right? Is let's refer everybody to poor Glenn. And he was like, I cannot keep helping people at this particular time. I don't have enough space. I can't keep helping people at this rate. And that was difficult because that was the first solution. So I went back to the drawing board and I started looking up different nonprofits, getting more active in advocacy work, and realized along the journey that there were just no services that existed for college students that really allowed them to get in right away, that allowed them to have affordable care, that allowed them to have more than 3 to 6 sessions that would continue forward at an affordable rate. There were a lot of roadblocks just to get to that first session or get on a waiting list. It was just a mess. It was very fragmented. The systems were broken. Young people did not even want to take the chance to go through that process anymore.
right.
Things started changing. And that's where I formed the first iteration of Zant, which was a nonprofit organization. We were based in New Jersey. We eventually worked with 2 major high schools as a referral program. And what we were doing was building a network of therapists in the New Jersey area who were willing to offer their services as a philanthropic approach for $10 a session. And we built a cap system. What is your cap? How many people can you work with? How many hours can you dedicate? With that, we could run with it and say, hey, we have spots to fill. We have opportunities for young people. It was not breaking the bank for parents who could not afford more than $10 a session. It was allowing students to get support. That was also a trusted third party. They didn't have to worry about being reprimanded by their school, which is a fear of young people, whether or not that happens for them. So we were able to create this safe space. Flash forward, and COVID hit. And we said,
Right.
everything's changing for everybody. What did we do? Because everything was in person.
Right.
So at that point, we decided to take a very big leap of faith and a very big risk, to be very transparent, and said, we're going to close a nonprofit. We're going to open a startup company, registered corporation, and we're going to build technology that will support our vision for giving young people accessible and affordable care. And that's exactly what we did. The first year was a lot of research and development. The second year was very focused on securing that actual developer who would work with us, that engineer who could build the technology we needed to build, working with them to make sure that we had designs for our screens, for our app, making sure our user flows made sense, interviewing a lot of people, provider side and user side, which are students, and understanding how we could impact the current landscape. We ended up cracking the code on affordability and accessibility, as you're aware, as a provider in the network. We ended up finding a way to really help our providers with their pain points. And we're still doing that. Every day, we're trying to listen in more and more to our providers and understand how we can do better, how we can build something greater. How can we help you manage your practice and give you the opportunity to source clients through our app, work with students, give back, work with non-students who still maybe can't afford care, and also bring awareness to the wide variety of services that exist that go past therapy, that go past psychiatry, that are life coaching, that are trauma-informed counseling, that is addiction recovery counseling, et cetera. How could we create all of that and make it $0 to access for a student, $0 for your first session, $25 after that. And for non-students, rates starting at $40 and of course going up depending on where your affordability is. how could we create that for this particular demographic? And that's what we did. We launched last September. So this is actually our first year that
Yeah.
we've been on the market, because it's the first week of September right now. And we're still just really getting started. There's so much more that we are aiming to accomplish, especially this year. There's so much more that we have in store. And I know I gave you a lot there, so I'll take a
Oh
pause. But
no, listen,
that's the journey.
I am beyond. I mean, it's just so beautiful
Thank
that
you.
you turned your pain into passion, and I definitely can relate to you. I mean, that is
Mm,
one of the reasons why I specialize in the things I specialize in, and want to help. And you yourself, you go through something so traumatizing.
mm,
And when you realize, like, wow, I have a way to help others and help ease the blow, so to speak,
mhm.
and guide them and teach them and give them the tools that worked for me and maybe didn't
Yes,
work, and
absolutely.
create this platform. And I'm honored to be part of the Zant family. And for those of you guys that are listening, like, Maggie is dead on with this. They offer for college students. I mean, I'm a provider on it. And if you guys are in college, you guys are $25 a session. I could speak for me personally with this, you guys. There are other providers on there. You would have to look at their rates on the Zant app. But for college students, my rates are $25 a session. And I
Yep.
mean, this is extremely affordable healthcare, mental health services, because it's not about the money, it's about giving back. Like, that's what
Yep.
I really want to instill into my viewers. And if it isn't resonating for you, you guys, if you know someone that is struggling, there are so many different providers on the Zant app. I mean,
Yep.
Maggie, give us some examples. I know, like, there's, because I know there's so many. What
Yes,
other types of
there are.
providers so people know?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We have actually right now over 14 disciplines. So we have health coaches because we believe that your health contributes to your mental health. We have trauma informed counselors. We have life coaches. We have life coaches who have specializations such as stress and burnout, right?
Right.
We have addiction and recovery counselors. We have eating disorder specialists. Our biggest focus was to meet young people where they're at. And
Yes.
unfortunately, you just can't generalize somebody's current state, somebody's condition, or somebody's circumstance, right?
Right.
You have to be able to offer a opportunity to meet somebody where they're at. And for us, that meant identifying mental health on a spectrum, which mental health does
Right.
live on a spectrum. There's a
It does.
huge difference between mental illness and mental health. We want to be a platform for young people where there's longevity in your relationship with that provider. It's not a quick 2, 3 sessions and then you're quote unquote cured. That's not what
Right.
this is about. This is a lifelong
No.
journey. This is about building that relationship with somebody you trust, with a provider who can really support you along that life journey, whether it's I'm focusing on my career and I'm stressed and I'm burnt out and I'm scared and I don't know what that next step is, or whether that's I am a college student and I have so many expectations for myself and expectations from other people. And I don't know how to build that confidence. That is my voice. So we have so many different providers that are focusing on specializations that can help you where you're at. And I think that for us, being able to teach people that while everybody has mental health, not everybody has a mental illness. That
Right.
is key here because mental health should be quote unquote worked out just like your physical health. We focus
Right.
so much time and energy on the way that we eat, the way that we walk and talk and work out and so forth. However, do we really focus energy on how we maintain our mental well-being?
That's
I think
right.
something that's important that I'll share with our team even is as a team, we focus on a little bit of a percentage on really where we're at. So if somebody comes in, we say, what is your percentage today? Are you feeling 80%? Are you feeling 90%? Are you feeling 100%? how are you feeling? What is that percentage for you today? And when somebody says, I'm feeling 80% or 70%, we say, listen, do you need to take the day off? Do you need to focus on your mental health and well being? Because our team, we are only as strong as our weakest link. And our
Right.
team has to identify where they are on their own spectrum to be able to come in and really push forward on the mission that we have because it's so massive. So I think if I could encourage anybody to check in with themselves, I would say ask yourself what percentage you're at today. And if you're under 90%, maybe you need some time to yourself. Maybe you need to book a session with somebody in the app. It is 100% free to get started. Maybe
Yep,
you need
it
to
is.
start that journey. And that is something that you should not be ashamed of.
Absolutely. Like, if anything, it's a sign of courage. And
Yes.
for you to embrace your own self-worth and self-care, that's
Yes.
strength. That is the strength. And like people need to get rid of this stigma that, oh, if you receive services from a specialist, whoever specializes in that area, it's a sign of weakness. No, it's not. It is
No.
not. There are people out there, you guys, that truly want to help you, that truly understand what the things, the circumstances that you've been through, and that's why we're part of Zant, like hands down. And for me, just personally speaking, Maggie, when I discovered Zant, and I remember talking to Jake. The PR guy. You guys will know Jake. He's
Yes.
awesome. Just to hear the mission of what you guys are trying to accomplish. And I know you're trying to get into schools. I didn't
Yes.
have that when I was in high school, going into college. You go to school, there's that, just that basics. You go to school, you learn the material, but no one focuses on the mental well-being of that student. No one really understands what's going on outside those school doors, what's actually going on in the home space. What is the child learning? They grow up with certain beliefs, then they get into high school, and now you have a whole other stigma of trying to fit in and figuring out who you are. And there's no talk of mental health, of what you're thinking, what you're feeling, beliefs, emotions. And then they shoot you out into the world and go, hi, welcome to college. And now you're an adult. And now you're trying to figure out all these things with no support system. And
Yep.
that's what I love about Zant. I love the fact that, yes, we definitely have room for adults in the workspace, but the focus is really on getting to the youth, getting to the high school children, getting those young adults, getting to the college, to give them the foundations to succeed, to learn their self-worth, to learn how to cope through life, and give them maybe coping skills with traumas that they've encountered in their lives, to set them up for success, because it does start with the youth. It really
Yes.
does. And that's why I'm so passionate to be part of your team in this way, and be able to provide my services at a huge discount through Zant. And I love that because it's about the mission. It's about what you can give back. And I just love the fact that you lay this out like this. Can you tell me more about what you guys are trying to do in the schools? Because I know we've briefly talked about this off camera,
Yes.
and I know, and I really hope that this goes worldwide. It goes all over the United States, and colleges get involved. And I'll say this too: if you guys are in a college, if you are a dean, if you are a big wig listening to this, and you are part of a college structure here and you want to get on board, contact Zant. They want schools involved in this. So I'll just lay the foundation for that right away.
Sure. Well, Dawn, I really appreciate you sharing all of that. And you know how excited we are to have you as a provider. And that is the honest truth for anybody who is watching. Dawn is an incredible provider. And I just really recommend, if you're looking for anybody to get started with right now and you're watching this
Thank you
video,
so much.
just get started with Dawn. You have a free consultation, and
Yep.
that's for both of you to determine whether or not it's a good fit. So
Right.
take that opportunity. It's seconds just to get in the app, download, and book that session. So don't be afraid to get started, because I know how scary it can be. And I know how daunting it is to just begin. So I'm encouraging you right now to just start, download the app and absolutely book a session with Dawn. And it's so
Oh,
easy to
thank you
navigate
so
too. So
much.
I want to say that as well. And,
Thank
like I
you.
mentioned, we're so excited to have you in this network. Working with schools is something that is a very large goal of ours. We want to work within universities and colleges. We are not here to replace your counseling department. We believe that having feet and boots on the ground for students who need to see you in person or are in a crisis situation in that moment, that is critical and that is important. We also
Absolutely.
see a really difficult ratio right now, a 1 in 1,500 ratio between counselors and students on average in colleges and
Wow.
universities across this country. It is an issue. And for us, we want to be here to help and support you during that issue. We want to be the extension of your school. We want to help young people as a trusted third party. A lot of young people have had difficult situations, circumstances, and experiences with support on campus. We want to be a trusted third party who young people feel like they can relate to. They feel like we are that supportive friend to them during that college journey, that support that they need, that maybe they don't really want to talk about right now to other people or voice yet, right? To other people. You can download our app in the comfort of your dorm, which we know dorms are not comfortable, but right? We can help you in the
Right.
comfort of wherever you are at any time. And we don't
Yep.
have waiting periods. You are
Yep.
going to an app that has a tremendous amount of availability to get you started hassle free. And that was our biggest goal. And then from there, we actually took it a step further recently, and we decided to incorporate financial technology. So it's very like Venmo-esque in a sense, where
Right.
now users can easily or students can easily go to that app, book a session. When you say, hey, I want to commit to Dawn, right? You want to take that next step with Dawn, for example, you can actually book a paid session and pay instantly. And Dawn is going to get paid instantly, very similar to Venmo. So we've built out
Right.
that, we're scaling that. We have new components of that coming out later this fall. We've put in provider curated content that's coming out later this fall. These are special features that we've brought in based on requests, based on what we've seen, based on how young people are interacting with different service providers. And for us, our providers, our professionals, they were already writing blogs, holding podcasts, putting out content that
Right.
is something that should be seen. I know for me, when I found out that I had ADHD, I started going down the spiral of figuring out what is ADHD, what are the characteristics, what are the traits, what is it like for somebody like myself. And I would find articles that were about ADHD and different characteristics, and I would send it to people, and I go, now you can understand me better, right? And I'd send those to people. And you can now do that later this fall with Zant. You can favorite, you can scroll down and actually meet with the author who's a provider within the network. If you go, hey, this person really gets me. So all of that to be said, we're scaling our app and innovating our technology to be that friendly partner for college students throughout that experience. And working with schools, right now we're actually looking for 3 more case studies. We have 2 colleges who are going to be working with us in January, and we are looking for 3 more schools to come on board for a case study, 100% free to them, for us to work with your student body, to bring you into the app, to bring your students into the app, to offer support to your faculty as well, and be able to grow as that trusted third party that I keep mentioning for schools. So yes, it's a big goal of ours to continue to grow within schools, because that's where young people are. And again, we're all about meeting you where you're at, and that
That's
includes where
right.
you're at physically, right?
That's
So
right. That's right. And it's super simple. Like everybody that books with me on Zan, it's like no matter where they are, the screen pops up. We have our session, and that's the thing. The first time that anyone reaches out on the Zan app, no matter who you go with, whoever you feel you guys are connected to, it's a 30-minute free consultation. So you
yep,
actually get the opportunity to meet the provider, see if it's a good match. And then if it is, you can go right back on that app and book a
yep,
session. And I know for college students too, they could book either like per session, or they can book like 4 sessions. You
yeah,
guys do
yep,
group session, like it's a group package. So there's different ways that you
yep.
guys could purchase. If you want to do session by session, you guys are able to do that too. So know that you have all these different varieties in personally speaking, as a provider, you'll read the provider's bio, you'll read their background, you'll read what they specialize in, so you have all this information. Is the person looking for a match, to see if they are a
Sure.
great fit too, just by reading that information. And most of us, I know, have websites. You can go outside of the app and look up these providers and see their
Sure.
background and see all these things too. So I think it takes, first of all, a very special group of people, not only your team, Maggie, and I know all you guys there, like, because I've been a provider for my listeners. I've been one of the very first ones from the
Yes.
beginning when this all came about. So I've been on this journey with Maggie
Yes.
and her
Yes.
team, and to see this app take off and blow up and have all these providers now on board, it's just such a beautiful, humbling thing. Because yes, let's just face it, I'll call a spade a spade. There are people out there that it is about the money, and I
Sure.
hate to say it, but it's true. And then there's people that could care less. Like, yes, we still have to pay bills, and yes, we're parents,
Sure.
and we got to pay our bills, but it's more about helping, because we were once those students. We were
Yeah.
once those people struggling, and we didn't have that. I'll be 42 years old here in a couple of weeks. I didn't
What?
have it.
You're
Yeah,
lying.
I'm not lying. I know.
That is a
Good. I'm gonna age
lie.
gracefully. I'm gonna age. I know this, but thank you. But like, I didn't have that in high school,
Mhm.
when I was being bullied and meant to
Yeah.
feel like nothing. And in my college years, I didn't have the support I needed and the tools needed, and you just stay stuck. And a lot of us, I realized too,
Yeah.
a lot of us came from backgrounds like this, that
Yes.
struggled, whatever that looked like for them. And to be able to give back in a way to help the younger generation, because this is our future.
Yeah.
These kids are our future. And the way the world is right now, we're in trouble. There's a
Yeah.
lot going on in this world, especially when COVID hit. Everyone was isolated and
Yeah.
secluded, and there was so much loneliness and figuring out how to cope. And now we have the tools. We
You know,
really do.
I think that's such an interesting thing that you just shared because even for us, again, flipping over to the provider side, we're constantly trying to listen into pain points. And it is a true fact that you need to make enough money to survive in this country, right? For us, we want to contribute to that growth. And again, I can't spill all the tea, but some of that exciting, new, enhanced version of our app that's coming out that is not only helping the user side and students get access to affordable care with ease, remove those roadblocks, give them features, give them rewards. Besides those opportunity for our users, we have opportunities for our providers too. Being able to service employers and employees nationwide with teachings
Yes.
and webinars, being able to supplement income in those ways, being able to manage your practice plus open yourself up to students, making us one central location for the growth of your practice. Those are things that we're constantly trying to listen into, hear about those pain points, and then find solutions for those pain points. And again, I can't spill the tea, but we have a lot of
I
really
get it.
exciting stuff coming out later this fall that I think is going to help both of our users and our providers really grow. And you see right now, as you mentioned, Don, you're one of our founding providers. Being a part of that journey, you get to, of course, see that growth. You get to be a part of that growth in a different way than other people. And
Right.
that is something that we treasure so closely because we value your insight. We value being able to take us from, hey, this is my way of just giving back, to this is my way of giving back and helping people, which is tremendous in itself, to saying, this is where I can grow myself as well, where we can
Right.
actually contribute to your own mental health. So you're not running around
Absolutely.
and spending so much time in so many different areas. You could just be in one. So I think for us, it's been an exciting and incredible journey. The reality of it is I dedicate this every day to my friend. And that is what keeps me going. A lot of people love to ask that. They say, what keeps you going? What keeps you writing on the whiteboard, right? And the truth is that I really dedicate this to my friend every day. I remember, and I'll tell you just this side note, but I had a friend of mine who said, how can you go in and do this every day? Because they knew how hard this was for me to lose my friend. And it's a
Right.
reminder, you're living through your trauma while also trying to help other people in their own traumas,
Bingo.
right?
Right.
And it was fuel for me. I
Yes.
can't, when I hear stories about young people passing away, and this being Suicide Prevention Awareness Month this September,
Yes.
we are in a month where we need to be talking about this. However, we need to be talking about it every day. It really, truly is something we need to be talking about. I was
That's
sitting with
right.
a group of our team members. We give all of our team members X amount of services for free that they can access through the app. So we're double bias, right? We're not only founding the company, but we're also actually using the services on the app ourselves as team.
Right.
And we were all sitting around talking about our sessions and what we learned and even teaching each other some things. And I remember thinking to myself, this is what we strive to do. We strive to create an atmosphere where young people can connect with one another, share things with each other to make each other better, talk about this as if it's anything else in our life, right?
Right.
And go through and grow through the pains that we're in so that we can help ourselves when life hits, because it always will hit.
Of
Instead of turning
course.
to a bottle or another type of coping mechanism, you're turning to something that you remember worked, which for us, we hope, is talking to a professional or talking to a coach, talking to a licensed therapist, talking to a trauma-informed counselor, etc. We hope to help you throughout that journey by starting now and starting here and starting with young people who are developing and growing and trying to make their first big decisions in their life.
Right.
So for us, this is very personal for me. And that is why I am horse blinders on and focused every day, and also grateful, because as
Yes.
heartbroken and sad as I am for my friend, and trust me, it took maybe a year and a half, 2 years of talking about it to finally talk about it without breaking down into tears. I mean, it was something really difficult to talk about for a long time. So for anybody who's struggled, who is watching this or is, listening to this, I can understand why it's hard to talk about the things that you've been through. And I'm not telling you to repeat it a million times a day to get to a point where all of a sudden you're fine. It will always be something that will break your heart when you lose somebody
Yes.
like that. It will always be a part of your heart, always. So going through life and working in this mission and being so focused in this mission, I use that as fuel to turn that pain into passion every day and make sure that we really are making an impact. One of our biggest goals right now that we are so focused and determined on is impacting the lives of 1 million students by 2025.
I
And
love that.
I know that with
Wow.
providers like yourself and with schools who also contribute to support and bringing us to their students, I know that we can reach that goal. And I'm
Right.
just so proud of everybody who's been a part of this. I'm thankful for the opportunity to be on this podcast. I'm thankful to also just know you. And I'm excited to see what comes next. So,
Ah,
you know,
the honor is mine. Like, we're both purposeful with, people
sure.
here, just professionals. Same. My goals align very much with yours, turning my pain into passion and purpose, and educating as many people as I can, all walks of life, all ages, all religions, all genders. Like,
Yes.
it's about people, and to let people know that there are good people in this world that truly want to help them and that truly want to give back and truly are there for the right reasons.
Yeah.
And that's what drives me. That's the passion and fuels me and fires me up every day. And just to have this platform, pushing through my own fears too. It took me 3 years to start this podcast. I'm not, I'll just
Wow.
share that with you, Maggie.
Congratulations.
I was at a place 3 years ago, you wouldn't even get me on camera. I'm not kidding. And I was
Oh, wow.
just I let fear overtake that. And I got to a point through my own healing, and healing will always be, you're absolutely right. I'm still healing. I'm still doing the work because it means something, because I
Sure.
want to help others. Right. And now that I'm doing it and I have this beautiful opportunity to have all these beautiful souls come on this platform and share their stories and share their experiences and provide more tools for this growing audience to heal and get better and get the wisdom that they need. It's so humbling. It's
Mhm.
so humbling. And I'm so honored to just be able to have this, that this exists, that we can come together and share these
Thank you.
stories and make the world a better place. So thank you, like truly from the bottom of my heart, like for allowing me to be part of this journey with Zant. And I can't stress how excited I am to see what's coming, because it's only going to get better and we're
Us
going to
too.
reach more
I want to spill
people.
the tea, but I can't. I can't. But we're so close. We're so close. I
Oh,
promise you. We're counting down right now. So it is so close. And I really am just so thankful for you. I'm
oh,
thankful again for everybody who's listened to this. And I mean, I'm thankful really to be able to dedicate my life to this. So thank you.
oh my gosh, thank you. And guys, for you guys listening, I'm going to put all the information in the description box. We'll put the how to download the app. I mean, Android and Apple, you guys can download it right from your whatever they call it, the Play Store. And I don't have an Apple, so
Sure.
I don't know. I have an Android, so whatever
App
it is.
stores everywhere.
Yeah, just download the
Yeah.
Zan app, get started, book your free consult. I'm going to put all of Maggie's information. I'm going to put their PR director, Jake's information. I'm going to put Darian's information. These are people I really love to death. They've been such a support for me personally, and I will do my part and give back any which way I can to Zan, because I'm so grateful for them and all the hard work that goes into this. So thank you so much, Maggie, for being on here today and sharing your story and giving people hope, like
Thank
truly.
you.
And
Thank you.
and I just can't thank you enough. Guys, thank you so much for being with us today. I truly am humbled and honored. Get started, download that app. There's tons of providers on there. Get started. It's just a stigma. You deserve to get better. You deserve to get the help you need to heal. And I will see you guys on the next episode. Thank you so much and be well.